Grandma on the tree.
Hey. What you got doing? Big dog's not even in here.
Sure.
She's outside.
Okay. Can't hear anything. Oh, you.
Was there a question? No.
So the looks palettes, but if y'all are wondering what this is, we kind of simplified the process for buyers if they're building, or we also use these for our quick move-in homes, our inventory homes. This really kind of simplifies, we put everything into one like palette and it upgrades everything in the home. And I'm talking from counters, cabinets, hardware, floors, all within one palette. And they can choose their palettes, or if they're buying an inventory, we are picking the palette for them. But everything within the home upgrades and it comes at a way lower cost to your buyer. And it's just a simplified process. So most people, we've gotten a lot of really positive feedback on this. No more design centers and having to take time to do that, and a la carting your options. And obviously the price goes up quite a bit when you do that. So we've just simplified it in that way. My community, no mud, no PID,
No mud, no pit, same thing.
so that's really difficult, I think, to find in a lot of new build communities. There's one or the other, and we don't have either. Lot sizes, I think KHAB's pretty decent about doing fairly good lot sizes. Ours are 62 by 120. So again, we're not 40s or 50s in mine, not quite as big as theirs. So we pretty much have something for just about every level of buyer, I think, within Van Alstyne. Has anyone done like deals with new builders? Are y'all familiar with how working with builders goes? Anybody have any questions on how that process works?
What's your typical build time right now?
Mine is 4 to 4.5. Theirs might be a little bit longer because they have larger homes.
6, 7 on ours.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
we're really doing mostly inventory, so we have a ton of homes coming up completed and then coming up soon.
Mm.
And we do have realtor bonuses on
Yeah.
most of those, and great buyer incentives as well. So if you have somebody, we have something quick for them to move into. We have buy down options, we have interest rate promos, we have everything for the buyer and plus more for the agent as well.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of our communities, I think, do that too. Like I know I have some homes that are on a 3.5% rate promo, and that's fixed for 30 years. So if you have a buyer who's like, man, I want to be in the market, but I can't afford it. Well, if you're on a rate promo home of 3.5%, probably going to be able to make it a lot more affordable. So we do that. And then our bonuses is 3% plus 5K on top. So that's greater than a 4% commission. So we really value our realtors and our partnerships with you guys. And when we do a transaction with a realtor, we have you guys on all of our correspondence. I mean, we really talk you up because you make us look good too. So I think we partner together to help your client the best that we can. So it's supposed to be like a nice, smooth transition and process for everybody involved.
Are you all tied into?
Mine would be a quick question, but it's for y'all too. So as far as the new forms go and commission disclosure, and things like that are concerned, like I know you already mentioned bonuses are offered. You've already told us what your commission rate is, et cetera. Like, why is that okay, Chris? And it's not for an MLS?
Well, we don't go by Trek.
Yeah.
So we're not regulated the way y'all are,
No,
which
it's
is,
okay for a builder to say.
Yeah.
they're-
Absolutely.
yes.
Yeah.
And when we say it, we
It's
do
great,
it.
like, I'm
It's
like,
there.
I want to know. I'm just
Yes.
wondering why.
Yeah.
And we've never been less than 3%. Even during COVID, when a lot of builders took down their commissions for realtors
Or
because they
weren't paying
could get away with it, or they weren't paying them at all, we have never not been 3%. So you'll see minimum 3%, sometimes more.
They just won't be able to advertise it on MLS anymore, just with anything else.
Yeah, just know that it's always gonna be 3 plus.
Yes,
Any help in there.
3%, then what do we do?
Right.
I mean, it's,
yes, yeah. What was your question? I'm sorry.
Are y'all tied into it? A lender?
Yeah,
and get
so-
a better rate if they use your lender?
Correct. Well, not necessarily better rate unless we're doing a rate promo and you're buying a home that's on a rate promo, but our lender is KHAB Manny and American Mortgage, or KHAM. So they only do loans for our buyers. I would say majority of people will use our lender just simply because of the benefits we give. We will give a minimum of like 3% for closing costs. Or you can use it to buy your rate down as well, or in some instances, in certain inventories, there might be rate promo deals and things. So it is contingent on using our lender. One thing I think is really nice that we do is, let's say your buyer does apply with us and we have to deny them. for whatever the reason is, but they can be approved with your preferred lender or our backup lender, and they get approved for the same loan type they applied with us. We're still gonna honor that 3% to them. So we don't take it away when we can't approve the loan for them.
And we're flexible, so if you see a promo on a house or
Yeah,
incentive on a home, somebody wants to buy it, and you wanna work something out, you know, interest rate versus closing costs,
Yeah.
we're flexible with using the incentive, how we need to use it to get the deal done.
yes. So we'll kind of play around with the numbers. As long as we're staying within our like incentive amount we're allowed to do, we can restructure the deal to fit your client's needs. Yeah, good point, Helen. Any other questions?
How many homes with a little niche community, Lincoln Park, how many homes will that be?
43 total for us, 86 total for both, the builder that's next to us.
Who's the other builder?
Dream Build Homes.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's the other builders. I'm gonna go over the other.
Well, yeah. My community is 309 lots total, but we kind of came in and bought 36 lots off the builder that's within my community, which is Cambridge Homes. And then when phase 2 opens, there'll be 127 lots. We're gonna give them back 36, but then we're gonna have everything left in phase 2. I would say competition for Cambridge, like you'll see in my price point, when you're like in the mid upper threes, perhaps like what kind of level of quality you're probably seeing within the homes. It's not amazing, right? I would say I personally genuinely believe that K-Hob does probably the best level of quality you're gonna see in that price point that you'll probably see with other builders. Because you're gonna compare 360, 370, 380 to Cambridge, which is my partner, DR Horton, Lennar, things like that. Your buyer wants to be in a home, they want a nice quality, but they can't get it in that price point typically. You'll see that with our homes. So K-Hob is very well known for that. Hence the pallets, which is really how we do it. We are 100% masonry, so we don't have like the whole back is not siding, and we give you a lot more for your money. So
Are y'all only doing the look, or are they able to customize their home?
in mine, they might be slightly more customizable at their particular price point. In order to keep my homes at the price point we're in, and since we're currently only doing inventory at the moment, we'll do builds when phase 2 opens. But no, it's not so much customizable. So our plans are pretty much set, and there's really not a lot of structural changes you can make within our plans, but that's how we're getting our price point where it is. Every structural change requires a set of blueprints that cost money, et cetera. Their price points, I'm sure you guys might be slightly more customizable. No? Okay.
No, I think we just have additional pallets.
It's the same thing, you have additional pallets.
Yeah.
But honestly, I've been selling looks now for 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
And there's really not a need. Once you explain the process and you see how it all works together, you're not gonna just switch up the looks. You get so many things included that
Yeah.
there's really not a need for it.
Yeah.
Very few people have said, oh, I need something completely different. They can choose little things like, they can choose their appliance package, they can, in some instances, they can choose the countertop color, you know, things like that within that palette. But everything else comes with it, and it's all upgraded, so most people love it for the price.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other questions? Well, thanks for letting us be here and
Yeah.
get in front of you today and chat a little bit. And our info should be on these. You'll see our each model home. We did put how in here as well. The phone number for it and the website for each one. And you just reach out to that phone number. One of us will answer. So,
Thanks, guys.
All right.
thank you. Enjoy.
Have a nice one. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
You got it. And I do just want to finish up on something. David asked the question is if you go out to a builder, they are offering a bonus. Your buyer's rep only has 3%. You can amend your buyer's representation agreement. Yes, your buyer has to acknowledge it. So that could be a negotiation you have to go into with them, but just let them know, we do have to amend this, and they are paying.
And it would be specific for that particular home.
It can be. It can be. Yeah, it can be. The funny thing about this whole thing is it can be amended as many times as you want to for as many things as you want to. And so it's just as long as everybody is like disclose. So I told somebody yesterday we were turning into California. Everything is a disclosure now. I had agent call me yesterday, been an agent for 30 years, asking me, I've got a buyer that wants to buy a property I have listed, but he doesn't want representation. What forms do I need now? So I told him, I said, well, you need the TXR 1417, which is a representation disclosure that you represent the seller and an IABS. There's no intermediary because you're not an intermediary at that point. He just needs to know who you represent. And so there's a lot of this agency gray area that's going around out there right now. And as transparent as it was before, it ain't now.
Clear as mud.
Clear as mud now. So let's get on to the fun stuff. All right. So it is Miracle Month. We love Miracle Month.
You, huzzah! Sierra just dropped this off and she
Oh.
was headed out. She did not stay with grandpa.
Oh, no.
And she's headed back to the hospital. Love them, okay. I'm gonna leave them up front and then if anybody wants to grab them, she can come special for our office. And she wanted to thank you all personally. And she said that, we're a great office. She loves us. So
Thank you.
That's what she wanted me to convey to you all. So I'll have these, I'll leave them back here so the people who are wanting.
Pick 'em up.
Notepad that she did say, thank you very much. And she literally just walked out the door to go back to the hospital.
Cool.
But
So with Miracle Month, I don't think I've ever done this that I can remember, is set a goal for the month of our donations that we give to CMN. Last year, if I recall, we gave about 13,000 for the complete year. And Tony was just on a Zoom with 3 other people from North America that are big with CMN, and it kind of inspired us. And so I want to set a goal this month for the office. And the goal this month for the office itself is $5,000 for August. And I'll be honest, compared to what some of these other people do, this is small potatoes. Tell the story real quick regarding the agent up in Canada, what he does and how much he gives every year.
Well, I don't know exactly what he gives every
Well,
year.
he gives, but what he,
Every 5th year, he goes around the entire country of Canada, dropping in and doing tailgate parties at each of the offices. So that's why he does it every 5th year. Yeah, they don't have that much time every single year, but it takes him 2 months to do it. And it makes his relationships with those offices clearly very impactful and tons of referrals. He's exclusively referral based at this point, but this last year, any guesses as to what he earned going around to Remax?
Was he an agent?
He's an agent.
He's an agent.
Brunar or something, yeah, what's his name? Yeah, he's an agent.
What's he currently paid?
He's donating, yeah, the end goal is to donate for CNN, Children's Record Network, and, what do you think he donated last year? $138,000.
That's what I was gonna say.
So he hit the nail on the head, so yeah.
Yeah.
So he made me feel like little peas, but they're skinny. But as far as what we're doing for them.
Yeah.
Another agent out of South Carolina, their office requires that on every closing, you donate X amount per transaction.
yeah. And so, you know, there's a lot of big offices that are doing a lot for CMN. And right now, we're number 2 in our area, behind Town and Country and Michael Coburn. And we've got to beat Coburn. That's the whole goal for everything. So bragging for bucks. This is something that one of the offices does that I thought was a brilliant idea that we're going to do every month. And one of the things about bragging for bucks is that you can make it for a good cause. So you're going to take out, if you want to brag about a new listing, something personal going on with your life, kids got married, your grandkids, whatever you want, take out a couple dollars, we'll pass it around, you'll brag about what's going on, and then the office will match it. So whatever the donations come up to, if it's $40, $50, the office will match that as well, and we'll donate that every month. And so Elizabeth Hardwick was in earlier, she had an inspection appointment to go to, so she gave me $5 to start with, to put in here. So she asked me to brag for her regarding a new listing that she has at 1004 Greenbrier on the other side of McKinney at $425,000. So that is hers. So I've got mine, and I've got I grabbed the cash that Amanda let me have, and unfortunately, I'm down to $6 after I buy my Cokes and stuff. So I've got $6 that I'm putting in there. And I just want to say that I survived July. That's my brag, is I survived July right now, and we're keeping going. So I do want to pass this around. If you want to brag, please take out $1, $2, $20, however much you want to give, and brag about a new listing, anything that's going on in your life. So anybody want to start?
I'll start.
Right.
I'm gonna do full brag, but first I'm gonna brag on my husband.
Oh.
So we've been super slow, as I don't know if any of you have been, but we've been super slow, so we have a bunch of rental properties that have also come up all at one time. All, which is really unusual, we don't usually have that. One of them is a disaster. And so since we have all this time, we're working on it ourselves, and David has put in tons of time and energy into future like this, because we've been over there almost.
I was gonna say something, but
I
I
was
was
wondering. What's wrong with you?
So that one, another one is my son just started a special forces thing in the Air Force.
Cool.
Yesterday was his first official workout with them. He's been there for like a month. And it was really brutal. And,
Yeah.
what did he say? 8 people went to the hospital.
Hey, guys.
Out of 20. He also got married. That's a brag. And last brag. The baby! He doesn't have to train baby, but that's the tiny one. The baby daddy.
I'm glad.
Oh, and then, that's a good brag.
Go.
I'll go next. I'm gonna brag on, Andrew in the office. He's, getting really close on having his first listing secured on an offer.
You know? What you got?
I have 3 brags. One, make it easy for every agent for this new changes of the forms and everything.
Right.
And all agents will get, good success in that. That is my first brag, that may God give every agent a good success in this new transition processes.
Right.
And second brag is for my health. And I want to live a little bit more longer for my children to get settled, because they are not settled yet to get married and all those stuff. So we are bragging for the couples.
Good.
I know the things. That is my special. And the third brag is God give those miracles, children a long and happy life. And I'm glad that Chris point out all these things, and God bless you also.
Thank you. Thank you. Next. What you got, ma'am?
I have a new listing coming in the Country Club El Dorado area. I'm putting in coming soon today. It's going active on Saturday.
What's the price?
It's $825. It is 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. Really, they totally, it just doesn't look like anything else in there. It's really neat. They have just totally upgraded.
Ranch style or?
Well, no, it's, there's 2 bedrooms upstairs, there's 2 bedrooms downstairs.
Okay.
But the kitchen is like unbelievable, like the appliances, if they were to buy them today, they did 4 years ago, they're $45,000
Oh,
to
wow.
replace them. So, I mean, it looks like something from Europe. I mean, it's awesome.
Any
But
greenbelt lot features?
there's tons of trees, it's very private. The backyard's just got a ton of trees and a lot of entertainment areas and stuff, so they put in an 8-foot fence, so they got more privacy than a lot of them do in there, so it's really a neat house.
Last question, would it house a baby grand?
Yes, very much so.
Very complete. All right.
What street's it on?
It's on Wood Street. What's the second street, as you're going down. And I have one more brag too.
Go for it.
My son Chris is, Chris McIntosh is just been made, general manager of the First Watch for Custer and, El Dorado. Go see him. Go eat for breakfast.
Mr. Sutton,
Got a new listing coming up in a couple of weeks in Princeton and Princeton Meadows. The house is about 14 years old, but about 2 years ago, there was a small fire in one of the bedrooms.
make sure you disclose.
Yeah, not much was, damaged except for smoke, but because of the smoke, I actually put them into a rental property next door to their house. And they lived there while the entire house was gutted down to the studs. The only things they didn't replace is the slab and the roof. So it's like a new house inside. And for the size of 19 square feet, it's gonna be 255, which you can't find anything
Wow.
for 255. But that's what it comps out at. And it's a little small, but it'd be a great starter home for some.
Teresa.
I don't have much to brag about, but I finally got like a level on the Miracle, you know, like a plaque, so I was excited about that.
Nice.
That's one of my goals this year, is to be able to
Yeah,
level up and give more to that.
that's awesome. Christie.
At three,
Ooh.
one, found out this morning that my son was approved for his first patent.
Oh, wow.
He's an oil and gas engineer and he created this thing and now he has his name on a big giant plaque on it, so.
Oh, very cool.
That is how little company.
Yeah, it's an oil company.
That's awesome, though.
No, what was it called?
Schlumberger.
Lumberjack.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah, it's a big deal. He's really excited about it. They own his intellectual property, so he doesn't get to like
Yeah,
have, it's not his, but he gets the rights on it and everything's pretty cool. It'll be published that way.
cool.
And then, my husband has had some health challenges recently and has had some good stuff lately, so we're very thankful for that. We just pray that that continues.
Yep.
And then third, I will kiss you all over your face if you will sell my listing on Avalon, in Avalon. Y'all, it's 4405 Cannon, 3584 square feet, 6 bedrooms, 4 full baths, 2 bedrooms down, 4 bedrooms up. Yeah, I was making sure I was doing it right, yeah. Yeah, it's a great house, it's in Avalon, and it's just took a huge price drop to 630. So it's big, if you got a family.
Yeah.
And they need to sell, it's a heartbreaking situation, that family needs to sell,
What
so
did you say the price was?
630.
630.
Maybe take it like the Mormon and Catholic churches for large families.
No,
you're on. There you go.
All right, anybody got anything else right now? June. What you got, June?
I have a, nice lease listing in Farmersville. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath on an acre for $2,300 a month. It's already live, already shown a couple times, so it could be gone this weekend. On another note, personal note, I have not one, but 2 great grandbabies being born in January.
That's gonna be a busy 2025. All right, anything else right now? Oh, what you got, Meredith?
I have bragging on myself because my oldest is getting married in March and I am not yet being a momzilla, bridezilla.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
I'm helping when I need help and not overstepping.
No, we're
And
stepping.
it's taking all of my everything.
That's cool. All right, anything else? Thank you so much. We'll count this up and let everybody know what the final total is, this afternoon, but very much appreciated. And we will put that to CMN. Again, CMN month, please share it, let your clients know, and put something to good cause. Whenever you have a closing, $25, $50, whatever you want to donate. I know I've donated all year. I'm bronze level now. The office is silver level, and I told everybody, I don't go for silver, I go for gold. So we want to get gold level. All right, leadership team. So the leadership team met yesterday by Zoom, and we were able to kind of set some guidelines of what this is going to be looking like going forward. It's going to run from August 1 every year till July 31st. Okay, so we're going to meet as a leadership team the first Tuesday of the month before office meetings, so we can kind of discuss things that are going on. So we divided this up into 3 groups. So these 3 groups are the CMN and donations group, led by Tony, with Cody Brantley and Christy Thornton. And then the education and growth group with Carrie Dahlman, Caden Kesterson, and Kaylee Parker. Now, when we say growth, this is about educational growth. This is about your business growth. So when we talk about that, we're talking about, we want to know things that you're actually going to engage with to learn, whether it be social media, Google, or just business planning. So they'll reach out to you as finding out what you want. They will do it both by Zoom and in person. More than likely, it's going to be by Zoom because we know that you'll engage, and we're going to record those and post those places for you to watch when you can. What they're going to be looking for, and Kaylee, you brought this up. Do you want to kind of talk about this as far as posting it and seeing what we're going to be watching for?
Yeah, so what we were talking about yesterday on the phone is that we've seen before, like I see emails or whatever, and I don't live super close to the office, so sometimes it's hard for me to get here. But we've seen her post different trainings and stuff, and then have it. And so we just said, we don't want to make it something where like it's mandatory or we guilt you if you don't show up or participate. This is for you. And so we talked about, do we have some type of forum or something where we had you guys opportunity, what do you want to hear about, what would be helpful, what something you're struggling with, any kind of topic. And then we would do like a 20-minute video or something. Maybe it's live, and then whoever can join can, and then they can ask more questions, which again will make it more beneficial to you guys. And then we can post it somewhere, whether it's on our Remax Corners YouTube channel or on a website or whatever, and then you guys can go back when you have a chance, because we're all busy and we're all trying to be in places at once. And so we just want to make sure that what we're doing and what we're spending time on is something that actually benefits you guys. And with all the changes and stuff coming up, I think like we just want to make sure that we're on the front line of that and we're able to provide you guys with as much information as possible.
Perfect.
And there's some, like, I'm the greenest agent in the group, maybe in the room. And then there's some really seasoned agents in there, but I think we all come up with valuable questions, and sometimes seasoned agents forget that it is ever changing and we need to be learning and focusing. And so the group's really for everybody, not just baby agents.
Yeah. And so how we kind of looked at this is that we looked at agents, not just, some looked at it as production and things. It's not production based to be involved with this. So next year we'll change it up a little bit, but this is really upon wanting to maintain a culture within the offices. Every office that we've seen, and especially, I've talked to the Canton and the Terrell offices that we brought in, those offices have different cultures than what we have in Four Corners. And so every office has a different feel, but we want to maintain a family feel and togetherness that all these offices do have, just to a different degree. And so each one of them does something a little bit differently, but we want to make sure that we're able to still collaborate together and grow each other, because, there's 130 of us within this brokerage now, and we want to make sure that we maintain professionalism, integrity, growth, and keep you, around people you want to be around. And so we want to help people, and that's kind of what this group is for. And then the social events group, Meredith is leading it up, and with Jolie and Elaine Fabry. Now these groups will kind of intermingle a little bit amongst each other. So the social events group may want to plan something with the CMN and donations group. So there will be events coming up that they're going to be kind of putting together. And one of them may just be a happy hour, or one of them may be a snow cone truck and raising money for CMN or Samaritan Inn or food pantry, something along those lines. So just be looking for that and engage with them. Now, what this is not, and what they are not, is they are not people for you to go to and ask broker questions. Because I've had that pop up of, oh, I'm sure you're looking forward to the leadership team coming in, and so you're not having to answer as many questions. That's not what they're for. This is what they're for, is to give me more time so I can answer your questions. And I can answer the broker questions and find out more about buyer's agency and the new listing agreements, and keep up on the legal side to keep everybody out of trouble. So that's what this group is for. Does anybody have any questions on it? Cool. Oh, got something in the chat, so let me see what that is. Oh, I don't know what that is. Anyway, all right. Oop. Tongo. You should have gotten an invitation for Tongo. All right, and what Tongo is that they are it's a technology group out of Seattle. Go figure. And what they do is that they have set up a platform for you to have your own private dashboard. So you can take your commissions when they come in, and instead of just depositing them into your bank account and then figuring out where you're going to put what, it will take those commissions into their platform and split them out into your accounts for you. So you're not having to do anything. And so it'll take your $1,000, for example, and put it into the Tongo account and say you've got 80% going to, and I've got 8,000 here. So you've got 80% going to one account, 10% going to another, 10% going to another. It'll automatically split those out for you. And so it'll actually do your savings and help you save money. So you're not scrambling at the end of the year trying to save for taxes and pay taxes, because again, we're the world's worst. We're great realtors, and sometimes we're lousy business owners. So we're trying to help you out here and give you a different platform for that. So take advantage of it. It's free.
Fully customizable.
Yep.
For each of our.
Yep, it's fully customizable. You go in there and it uses Plaid, if you're familiar with Plaid. And what Plaid is a connection source. It's an encrypted connection group. And what they do is that they basically will encrypt from Tongo to your different bank accounts, whether it's Chase, Capital One, Bank of America, your IRA, wherever you want it to go, and split off into those accounts. Okay. So take advantage of it. Again, it's free for you. This is a free service and doesn't cost you anything, and is pretty ingenious actually, because again, I'm one of the world's worst at looking at the end of the year going, oh my God, I've got to pay taxes and I've got this coming up, but this is going to help me save. So we want to bring it into you as well.
Can I say one thing about Tongo?
Absolutely.
If you decide, and it's optional, if you decide to use Tongo, there'll be a specific CDA form. So when I find out that you're using Tongo, you will have a different form, CDA form, because there's a specific wiring instruction that has to happen with it. So we haven't kicked it off yet because we just haven't kicked it off yet. But if you do decide to use Tongo, I'll send you an email and say you have to start using the specific CDA form. So it'll be in Godly and you can put it in your own custom loops or whatever.
Templates.
And it just has to say, here are Tongo. And then I'll already have pre-printed on the CDA form, the verbiage that has to go on it. And I've already created it. So just FYI, it'll be a different CDA form. It'll look the same. It just has the information.
And we are updating the CDA.
I already did it. I just have to verify it, confirm it with the Tongo people to make sure.
Yeah, you're creating another one though, just
Yes, and I'm gonna update our current CDA form just to be a little bit more polished. It'll look like the Tongo form. It'll look the same. It'll be a little more polished. I'm trying to swoosh it together a little bit to get a little more information on it, because a lot of you are splitting your commissions up with a lot more agents. And so I'm having to swoosh a little bit more people in. Anyway, it's time for a refresh. It's the blow up of the CDA. So it's time, people, it's been 6 years. So it's time.
contract issue that came up just recently, and I'm seeing this more and more, is can a contract be assigned?
Is it? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Do what?
Yeah, of course, maybe.
Of course, maybe.
Of course it'd be.
So can a contract be assigned? Yes. But it has to be agreed upon by the buyer and the seller. Seller cannot just, or excuse me, a buyer cannot just arbitrarily go, you know what, I just want to assign this to this buyer and give it to this buyer to close on this property. The contract is between buyer one and seller one. So buyer one can't just go to buyer two and go, hey, you know what, I don't qualify for this home. I'll let you buy it. Doesn't work that way. Now we're seeing this in investors. And so here's the scenario. Here's what's happened. One of our agents had a listing. Investor comes in, says, I'm gonna put up $3,000 earnest money. I want to do my inspections. Did his inspections, didn't end up qualifying for the home. As an investor, trying to get a hard money loan, didn't qualify. Draws up a document, gives it to buyer two. Buyer two signs off on it and now says, well, now I'm the buyer on the property. And seller is going, I don't know who you are. I don't know this situation. And now, 2 days before closing, buyer two goes, well, I can't close on this home. I don't qualify for the hard money loan on this home. I can't do it. Now I want the earnest money. Whoa. No, it doesn't work that way. And so Jamie Ellis is actually at WG, actually has the contract and went to buyer two and said, well, first off, if you would have had a realtor, you would have known it doesn't work this way. Secondly, is you're out of your option period. There's nothing within the option right now that says you're getting the earnest money. So, plus, you're not even really on the original contract. You have no right. So I had to call him yesterday and have a nice conversation with him and explain to him, you have no rights to the earnest money. You shouldn't even be on this contract. Because the contract was between buyer one, that was the offer that was agreed upon, not you. We have no idea who you are, what your financing is, or anything else. So you have no rights to this. And he was like, oh, all right. Then why are you arguing? So anyway, we got the release of earnest money signed, giving the earnest money to the seller this morning. But again, assignments, yes, they can be done. And actually, when Jamie informed me of this going on last week, she said, well, yeah, it can be assigned. Sure, it can be assigned if all parties agree to it. But this is not what's happened here. The seller did not never agree to this. And so it cannot be done without all parties agreeing on it. So, but I am seeing a lot of assignments come in right now and contracts with that and or assigns in there from investors. So just be a little bit leery of those guys when they do it and talk about it. And those can be a little bit of an issue, a little bit tricky.
When they have to do a whole new contract or
Yeah.
is there, or could you do change the amendment to something?
They technically, I would require a whole new contract.
I think so.
Yeah, unless they're accepting the option period and everything else. You know, I would require a whole new contract because again, we have no idea who this person is, what their finances are or anything else. And in a situation like this, it would have to be a whole new contract. Now, before I go on to the end of this, let's talk about August 17th and let's talk about BAC. Let's talk about the fun stuff. We all know it's already been removed from MLS. It is not to be advertised on showing instructions. It's not to be advertised in private remarks. And it's not to be advertised on third-party websites. We, as a brokerage, are not a third-party website. You can advertise what your BACs are on your websites for your listings. We can't do it for another brokerage, and they can't do it for us. Only we can. So we did create that Google Sheet last week that we sent out. Please go in and update it. I tried to pull in all the current MLS numbers and addresses that were already listed. The only things that I did not do was go in and put in your name and the BAC that you're offered. One of the reasons why is because, well, I can't see what the BAC is that you are offering if you don't put it in a dot loop. And two is it would take way too much time for me to do it. Or Shelly or Tracy or anybody else but you. So please go into that Google Sheet, update it. If you have a new listing come in, put it in. It is to be sorted by number. So it should automatically sort for you. But go in and update it with your name, the BAC, and the city. I have the price MLS number and address. I just need the city, your name and BAC on that Google sheet. It is on our website. And what I did is that I took that Google sheet and I took that link and I created a hyperlink from my address. And so it's on my email address. When I send it out, it says BAC information and it'll click through and go to our page there.
And we can add that to ours as well?
You can, yeah,
That's so, strange.
Are your,
That is so strange to me that is okay
I know,
and everything else, I'm not.
I know,
I'm not
it's,
complaining to
and,
you.
and not to go down a rabbit hole, but like our websites are on MLS. So that, I'm like, how is that okay? I like the keychain idea, just saying.
Yeah.
you like what?
Maybe I'll put it up as a keychain on your,
Yeah.
on your lockbox with a percentage written on the
But you
keychain.
still have to
There's-
be at the house.
So cool.
I know, like, and
Still is another level.
There's keychains, there are sign writers now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's sign writers that you can get made saying 3% concession, 3% by BAC. There, I mean, there's all these different things now. But why would I want to make that public to a buyer
Yeah.
if I don't need to,
Right.
you know? Now, one of the questions that came up too was about the compensation form. When should I send the compensation form? Before I show the property? Or with the offer on the property? Well, here's my thought on that. My thought on the compensation agreement form is that you need to make that call first, that text first, that communication first, before you go to show that property to know what the situation is regarding the buyer's agent commission or concession or whatever they're offering on the property, if they are offering anything. Okay. And at that point, you submit it as part of your offer because now you know what they're doing. You submit it with the offer. That's what I would recommend, and that's what I'm going to do with it because I want to know in advance.
you call each listing
Yep,
agent.
Yep.
Yes. If you have let me just ask so if you have a list, you're showing 10 houses, are you gonna call every single one before you go? Or are you
Yep.
gonna wait till they pick the top 3 and then go, okay, let me find out?
I'm typically I'm gonna label it down to 5. I'm not gonna show more than 5. I never show more than 5 on a day anyway, just because by the 7th one, you're totally forgotten if number one is perfect.
And we're probably gonna have buyers that don't want to see any houses that aren't willing to pay because then they'll be responsible for it, so.
Now, one of the questions that came up also was regarding steering. Can you steer someone away from property that's not offering a BAC?
You can't steer them, but if they can no longer afford to pay you, that's how it's not steering.
That is exactly right.
Then you're honoring their wishes.
Yeah. And they have to know, it's like, look, they're not offering a buyer's agent commission on this, so unfortunately, according to our buyer's representation agreement,
You would owe me.
this is what you'd be owed, you owe me.
It's a little suspect if we're gonna say, hey, you owe me.
Well, per our agreement, it-
No, well, all I'm saying is it's a little suspect if we're gonna say, you owe me 1,000. Oh, but wait, this guy's offering a bonus. Will you amend this agreement to go to 4%? Well, where I'm not amending it to go to 2, it really is
it's,
a cluster.
Colorado has already backed away from it. The Colorado Commission has already said, we've already heard from too many consumers, not realtors, consumers, saying this doesn't make sense and it's not transparent enough. So Colorado has already backed away from it.
If you know the buyer cannot afford to pay you, can you put 0% in the buyer rep? I mean,
working for nothing then.
well, I mean,
You can't, no,
you got
no, because at that point, you won't get paid anything. Because
even, okay.
Because say that the BAC is, just say 2%. Okay, and if you put 0 in that buyer's representation agreement, you can't take that 2%.
You can't amend it?
You can amend it.
Yeah.
You can amend it.
You can't put 0 and then go back and amend it.
I wouldn't do that. Why would a buyer want to amend it at that point?
Yeah.
This happened, and so what I did is I put 3% there, but then and we talked about this at that meeting in Carroll, Chris.
Mhm.
But then in special provisions, I put buyers have instructed, agent to only show homes where sellers.
Yes, you can.
That's what I
I have one for my own. I have one for my own listings in mind. So yes, you can create your own.
Not technically necessary, and that's where the special provision comes in, where you're saying fire has instructed me that I'm only showing you houses with compensation.
Mhm.
So we're fair to write in special provisions in this scenario.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, yeah. As long as the buyer acknowledges that.
Can you repeat it so people on video can hear what Kaylee was just saying?
I was paying attention to Caden, so I really paying attention to Kaylee.
So on the new fire rep form, where it says what your compensation is gonna be, so if the buyer cannot afford to pay you a compensation, the question was, can you put 0% in there? No, because then even if the seller's paying 2 or 3%, then legally you've agreed to make 0%. So you wanna go ahead and put 3% in there. Now, if for some reason you sell a house and they're only paying 2%, then you can amend it. But you go ahead and put 3% in there, and then in the special provisions, that's where you can explain to your buyer and state that, and what I put in the one that I just recently did was, buyers have instructed agents to only show homes where seller is paying compensation. And so that says you're getting paid 3%, but your buyer is not the one paying you the 3%. Or
Okay.
3% or whatever.
Yeah, that leaves it wide
It would
open.
need to say.
But then-
2% compensation.
Well, you can say 3% and you take up to, because it's up to,
Yeah.
yeah, it's up to that amount. You can say, because if you put 2 and they're paying 3, you can only take 2. So if they're paying 3, if you put 3 in there and they're only paying 2, you can take the 2. So it's really dependent upon what you want to do at that point, or you can force your buyer to pay the 1. Now, we've had that come up recently where the buyer is paying the extra percentage, half a point or point that's going on the deals.
Can I jump in and say something right?
Go for it.
Right there. Just because your buyers verbally agreed and has the buyer's rep that they're gonna pay that extra percentage, don't mean that the lender knows and that the title company knows. You can't get to the morning of closing or the day before closing and turn in your loop to Tracy with that 3% on the CDA, but it says 2% in the contract, and it's the day before closing. And I'm gonna catch it, and I'm gonna say, hey, but your contract says 2%.
And we cannot get paid outside of closing.
And you're gonna say, oh, but my buyer's gonna pay that extra. And I'm gonna say, hey, but does the title company and the lender know? Because both those entities need to know that, and it has to be in final CD, lender has to agree, it's gotta be all hunky-dory. Because if those two entities don't know that, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
Great point.
And that could,
So that has happened.
and that could delay your
It
closing.
is delayed closing.
And that could kick a lockout if your buyer is locked. And so that could be a little problem. Make sure.
Big deal.
Yeah.
Because you know it, the buyer knows it, lots of people have to know that.
Yes.
There's, and it's a new world, and I don't, and that the agent didn't know. Because it's a new world, it is, so it's.
Do you have something, Tony?
In regards to just, your quote's about to go into it, but humans are pretty resilient. We come up with workarounds. This won't be how it is. It's just gonna be a cluster, as y'all mentioned, for a while.
Yeah.
Until we figure out a common and communal workaround.
Yeah. And they're leaving this up, and what they're basically saying is that this is going to be state by state. Right now, it is national, but every rule, if you read the NAR FAQ on this, is that it is all based upon the state rules and what the states write. Okay, Ashley?
In that aspect, do we see Texas going the way of Colorado potentially?
I don't know.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is that the MLSs have been too agreeable to this at this point. And without the MLSs kind of fighting back on this, I don't see Trek kicking back on this. And really it's the MLSs that are controlling this right now, because they're the ones that are getting sued ultimately, are the MLSs, because they're part of, CCR is part of Netris, and, Metrotex is part of Netris. And so I don't foresee that right now until the MLSs start revolting. David?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
You go first, ladies first.
I would say it'd be a brilliant idea to have a phone number ready and available for our clients to protest when they get really irritated about it. This is who you need to call to voice your opinions and have that. We can all get a bunch of stickers. Sticker for our car.
Because that's what he said, Colorado changed because.
I know, that's what I'm saying. If When we start explaining to our clients why they've signed this and the parameters and the exceptions and another form, and this is why, and I'm so sorry, and you can't see that house, or not, you
Yeah.
can't, but you know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Then you say, and they go, what the world? I said, this is the new. Not to us, because we can't change it.
Yeah.
Nothing I can do will change it. You have to.
Yeah, David?
You may have something like this already, Chris, but I was listening to a lawyer from Independence Title talking about all the different scenarios and the different forms used. And so it might be nice to have something that says, if you have an unrepresented buyer, you need this form signed and this form signed. If you have a buyer that's looking at your property that you have listed, you need this form and this form. Does that make sense? Or is there,
That makes sense.
because then if you when you're turning in.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Like a diagram tree. Yes.
I'm not saying you gotta have the G 4206 signed, but
Yeah.
in this case, you have to have the G 4207 signed. And I'm not smart enough to follow all that in person, let alone on Zoom.
I know.
So, yeah, so I don't know if something like that, if you can put something like that together.
So there are.
There are some?
It's already out there.
TexasRealtors.com has one for the 2406. I have it.
Send it to me.
Okay, but I don't know about all the other forms.
Yeah.
But that's what's going on.
Some would be nice to
Yeah.
make sure we have the right forms, because Tracy doesn't want to kick them back, and you don't have.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
this was like, the realtor that called me last night, he goes, I want to make sure I get the right form, because I don't want to go back to my people and say, okay, you need to sign this and make me look like a fool. And I totally agree. We're gonna do the best we can, and it's gonna be a step-by-step learning process for just through every scenario. Yeah, hold on a second.
I'm gonna volunteer our transaction coordinators to help y'all with that, because I know Melanie, I've been using Tina historically, but I hired an assistant who also is a TC, so as I'm transitioning to her, she's been to a lot of compliance classes, so she knows way more about what forms and when to use them than I, so I'll enlist Melanie to help put that together. Like, if this, then this, and we can follow it along, and she also used to be in education, so she's pretty sharp, so.
Gail?
Like the people that are using like the email blast, you know, for listed,
Yep.
just listed or
Yep.
just whatever. There's a lot of those that I'm seeing, they've got the bids. Is that okay?
That is okay. Yeah, that's their listing. Yeah, you can email blast it. You can, as long as you're putting it out and it's not on the MLS, that's all they care about. You can put it on the flyer. You can put it,
One per agent is putting it on the KV core, the phone number that goes straight to the house, the text code or whatever,
Yep.
and it automatically, so that when they text, they automatically get a response back.
I went into my listings on KV Core and did the enhanced description
Yeah.
and put my BAC on KV Core there. So you can do that as well if you go into KV Core under your listings and enhance the listing description.
Because we just didn't quite have enough steps in a list.
Oh, no, yeah, right. Yeah.
To think about it,
Yeah,
to do. Right, let me.
yeah. And so, this is creating a lot of confusion, as we can tell. I'm honestly looking forward to this. I know you're going, God, why? Yeah, I am. And one of the reasons why is that I think it's going to kick a lot of unprofessional realtors out of the profession. Realtors that don't do this professionally and do it, I think consumers are going to be gravitated to the professional realtor, to the realtor that they trust and knows that has the knowledge to be able to handle it. Because I am seeing a lot of realtors go out to Facebook mastermind groups and ask these same BAC questions over and over and over again. And I want to make sure you understand, if you have a question on it, please come to me. Do not listen to what you find out on some Facebook mastermind group, because you're going to see 10 different explanations of how the listing agreement should be done.
Even in the same state, yeah.
Even in the same state, and people don't understand. And I'm not gonna get into it, but, there's people in our area here. Do not listen to them, please. Do not listen to them. Listen to what you've been taught and we'll take it from there. Okay, and if you have questions on it, come to me. So, anything else right now?
Well, I do have other questions.
Go
I
ahead.
have a million questions, but specifically about the aspect of not showing a property without having the buyer representation agreement in place. How are we supposed to navigate that with open houses?
Don't have to have one for an open house.
Okay, so just kind of maybe post up IABS,
Yep.
direct people to that as usual and just.
I would just leave a page on the countertop or print off 10 pages, whatever you want, take it with you, give them to people. But as far as the BAC, when you do, or the broker's rep, when you do a, open house, it's not required. Okay, it's not required until agency comes into play. Okay, that is not agency at that point, because you still represent the seller when you're doing that open house. Okay? So same thing if you get a sign call. If you have a listing and you go to show it, you do not need a buyer's rep to show your own listing. It's only when agency comes into play that you have to get that representation agreement signed.
So the other question I had, and I asked the attorney at Independence Title last week, and he couldn't really give me a response. But I feel like it gets a little bit muddy. We have to rely a lot on just trusting that there's a buyer rep agreement in place on the other side. Like if I'm representing the seller, if I get a sign call, I'm then gonna ask, well, in this new day and age, do you have an agent? And my fear is they're gonna be like, no, and then I'm gonna end up showing it, an agent's gonna come in on the back end.
Yeah.
My seller is then gonna be responsible for paying out because it's in the listing agreement. And there's a big question mark of, when was the representation like initiated? Was it after I made that initial contact? Like, it just feels very muddy. Do we just have to roll with it?
Oh, gosh, I hate saying yes.
But yes, okay,
Yeah,
well,
It's-
it just changes by November anyways.
and it's funny, I had almost the exact same question come up to me over this past weekend. Agent called me up and said, here's the situation. I'm confused. Could it be this or could it be that? And I said, it could be both. She goes, well, that's no help. And I said, I know, I'm sorry. I can't give you a definite answer on it. Because I think it's going to be up to interpretation sometimes.
Right, and I think the other thing that really throws a wrench in it, in my mind, is that we are not legally able to ask to see that buyer representation agreement.
Yep.
So as the listing agent, I can't be like, well, show me the proof that you guys agreed to 3%. Because that was the other aspect, if my seller is ready to pay 3%, but the buyer rep actually says that y'all only agreed to 2%, my seller just has to blindly pay 3%.
That's the reason I want that compensation agreement with the offer.
Okay,
And let me know what you're asking. Because if I tell you 2% and you come in with something at 3%,
okay.
yeah, I'm only paying 2%. That's what I'll agree to, and that's what this compensation agreement will put into place between the brokers.
Okay.
Yeah. And so try to get us everything much in writing as possible. Okay, and now we've got 10 different forms to choose from.
Are you saying get the compensation agreement with the offer?
Yes.
Yep.
Actually, I feel a little bit like what you just described with, sign calls, that was already happening, just not as muddy. I mean, I got sign calls all the time in certain areas where they're very, colorful in the way they operate. Right, it's the same situation, it's whether or not you wanna sell your house,
Yeah.
right? But I agree with compensation, don't talk about compensation until.
Mine was
Yeah, I
doing
can't
like
have a
those agents
conversation
still
with
want
a
to sign,
buyer's
do they
rep,
have to fill
or
it?
you even have
No.
an agent.
If they don't have
Yes.
240 of them, it'd be the same. Not to open houses, no to buyers. That's absolutely correct.
Do I want to be sticker about this, or do I want to sell my listing and just only reference it?
Right.
You do not have to have the form.
It stinks.
It's all such a gray area, and I get that the intention is to make it very black and white, and in doing so, I feel like it's like
More
gone the opposite
Yeah.
direction.
Well, and that's the reason why there's also that representation disclosure form that you can have them sign.
Yes, I have been using that.
That it is, and it's going to be ingrained put this into your brain, TXR 1417. TXR 1417 is a representation disclosure form. So you can have them sign it and make sure they understand who represents who and if there's any gray area. Now, this has come up. There was already been a lawsuit over this, over a commission being paid. That the buyer's agent says, well, I'm owed the commission because my buyer agreed to pay me 3%. The seller wasn't paying anything. So the buyer agreed to pay me my 3%. And at the end of the closing, the buyer went, no, sorry, I'm not paying you. The buyer's agent went to an attorney for his $20,000 and said, I want to sue my buyer because I have a form that says he's going to pay me my commission. Attorney went, it's not worth your time. It's going to cost you more to sue than that $20,000.
All for consumer protection over here.
All for,
Also for
Yeah.
agent protection too.
yeah.
It's balanced.
Yeah, but in this case, there is no agent protection. It all has to do with the consumer. There's not, they think that, oh, we see you on Selling Beverly Hills, showing 3 homes and at the parties, and they flash up $500,000 in commissions. No, that's not every day. And if you actually see how much those people sell, they only sell 2 or 3 houses a year. So it's a little misnomer there. But anyway, there's a lot of gray area right now. Do not go to social media for your answers. Do not go to mastermind groups for your answers because there are no masterminds in those groups.
Just mine.
Sort of confused minds.
There's a lot of confusion. It's just throwing out more confusion. But in this, all great changes are preceded by chaos. And we're going to have some chaos for a while. Okay, so expect it at least till the first part of next year of everything just kind of settling down. So it's going to take a little bit. August 17th, really at this point is not going to change much for us. It's just if you've got any forms, the previous forms that were signed that you're not under contract on, you will need to get new listing agreements and new buyer's reps agreements if you're not under contract on anything by August 17th. Understand? Okay.
Weren't you putting together something personally from this office? Was it a buyer's rep agreement that you were gonna?
I had one, but we've taken it out. They came out with the new forms.
Okay.
And once they came out with the new forms,
You thought that was
yeah,
enough?
yeah,
Okay.
that was enough. Yeah, I told you, they basically walked away. Yeah, the buyer's agent was told it's not worth the time and not worth the money. They're gonna pay more. And according to the article we read, you do not need to do a whole listing agreement again, just the form. You do if you're not under contract. From my understanding, if you're not under contract, you have to do a new listing agreement. I don't believe that there's a form to amend it, but I could be wrong.
There is a listing agreement.
Is there?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, there is a listing agreement amendment.
Now,
Again, I'm not a mastermind either.
It's advised to just do a clean one to be safe, but there isn't.
Yeah, I would do a clean one to be safe. That is all hello? That's all I've got. I appreciate you guys coming in. It is 12:40, so we are 10 minutes past our time. I knew this would be a long meeting today. So, thank you. We'll count up the money. Was there a question online? Thank y'all very much. Ooh. Thank y'all for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. See you. Y'all have a blessed day.
Good job. I like the video.